What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and we are live. We are back. Good morning to everyone. I wanted to jump on a little bit early this morning just to make sure we get this right today. Just a little bit of sound check. How's the sound to all of you? Yeah, good morning, India. We're going to take a few good minutes this morning before we get in here. Yeah, I missed you, everyone here yesterday. That's for sure. I'm so happy to be back with you all. I'm just getting a feel here for my new surroundings, my new home before we go ahead and go live. How does the screen look? Pretty good, huh? Good to see everyone here. Yep, we're talking about the dollar, of course. Here we got the dollar on the screen right now, right? What a huge move yesterday. Vincent, a bit weird, huh? Andre, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We got a couple of things on the docket today. Still going to give just another couple of minutes before I really get into this, but we have both Fed Chairman Powell speaking, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and then we have President Trump with a press conference regarding China. We'll see what the tone of that and how that goes and that affects market. I don't know if that's going to be before the close of the market or afterwards. Silver and gold, both looking fantastic. Charles, good to see you. I definitely missed you guys all yesterday a lot. Not only is gold, silver over here looking like it's broken the resistance. We're going to take a look at it. It looks like it's gone ahead and confirmed that broken area. That looks really good. Gold looking super healthy. That was my savior yesterday. All right, let's start getting into some charts over here. Hit that like button. I'm just so happy to be back with all of you. Oh, by the way, a little bit of house cleaning here for the community right before we start going through all the charts here, figuring out what our plan is. Today's going to be obviously a day where I get resituated, get a nice feel. It is Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Also, more importantly, not more importantly, yesterday, just, you have some of those days where everything that could possibly goes wrong. And then, I would say somewhere around 9 o'clock last night, uh, 30 of the latest live stream videos got deleted from my library. Gone forever. Nothing I could do about that. I know a lot of you use that. Go back and watching those sessions. I know a lot of you have written to me already. There's nothing I could do about it but keep moving forward. So that's what we're going to do today. Yeah, that was fantastic. Love that, Mike. All right, let's start over here on the S&P 500. Yeah, it's all good. I mean, you know what? You gotta, no matter what happens, you gotta be really flexible. You gotta roll with it. And at least there is still many months of live stream videos in there. And I have to be honest, whether there was 30 people in there or there were 3,000, it's the same quality content. Um, that's right. End of month. Yeah, NASA or SpaceX, NASA and SpaceX back back into the stars. Volume's low, huh? I could fix that. How's that? How's that for a volume test? 2 minutes and counting. That's right. All right, awesome. Thanks for that. We got a cool new feature. I won't be able to use it, but it's kind of like this. All right. It's time for us to get going right now, everyone. We got to delete this first. Yeah, Bitcoin's looking fantastic. Let's start with the S&P though, all right? Everyone, we're going to start over here with the S&P 500. I was looking at this yesterday. Price was up here about an hour to the close, and was just thinking to myself in looking at this little range we have, this upper trend line over here. Wow, how toppy that does look. I didn't expect Trump to go ahead and obviously announce that press conference, which he did, and that went ahead and said off some profit taking. I think that's all that was. If you think about it, if you just step back, and often it helps to step back, first of all, that's obviously going to help you from chasing after price and momentum when you step back and get that perspective. But price is at the upper end of this range. Forget about the resistance above us. That's quite a distance. What we've seen and we're conditioning to this past week was just that every single tiny little bit of dip was bought up and bought up really, really quickly, right? So a lot of people and a lot of traders felt like that they're missing the move up. And by the time that they then get involved, what happens? That's the time for profit taking. There's a lot going on, right? There's a lot of unknown. The market doesn't like unknown. And that is how President Trump is going to react today. The fact that he's called a press conference, the fact that it has to do with China, you would expect that he's going to come down pretty tough. I don't know though. We'll have to see if he doesn't come off, strong enough. Then obviously we're going to see what we've seen for the past 3 or 4 weeks. On Monday has been huge risk on. Risk on seems to be the theme. We're seeing that come across even on the dollar. We're going to need to look at the dollar, but at the same time, what's been interesting, it's just since yesterday that you're seeing gold and now followed by also silver rising with the weak dollar. Before it's been weak dollar, weak gold, stronger dollar, stronger gold. Interesting when you see correlations start changing again. All right. So what's the plan here in the S&P 500? We have Powell speaking in just in a couple of hours at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. This is really not a trade, right? It's Friday. I think it's more important to watch what happens. The only possible trade would be if we were able to actually trade up and come closer into that resistance over there, because then at that point it's worth even taking a poke at it with a good risk to reward. Up here, it's still a little, how do you say, a little bit. Well, we got that buyer's momentum, right? Not looking to step in front of any of that. And this dip is not really any kind of dip that I want to buy, right? We got strong support down over here. Look what happened as we came into that strong support, right? It was just bought up in a second, right? So what do we do right now? Listen, today's Friday. Today's Friday. Don't want to get into any positions that with that so much uncertainty ahead of us. Yesterday, I wish I could have been with you all. That looked attractive. I was actually not even in the house when I saw that on my mobile. By the time I came back, it was all the way already down here, impossible to chase after. So it is what it is. Today, most of all, I'm just happy to be back with you all. Really. So I'm gonna take my time and see what develops over here. Um, Before we get into gold, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's looking really nice, right? Take a step back, right? So I had such a nice presentation for y'all yesterday. I really did. I might even today to make up for it. I might, depending on how much I get into it today with y'all right now, I might do some type of Bitcoin slash crypto update for you all. But Listen, we've been talking about, or I've been talking about now for the last week, the possibility of one last dump as we come into this period over the next, well, now we're talking really, you know, anywhere between the 2nd and the 5th of June. I'm not really so sure that's going to happen anymore. I'm actually leaning towards it not happening anymore. Listen, it would have been beautiful to get some more fills at 8,500 and again down below at 81. I know that some people were looking for 6,500. Listen, here's what's going on in Bitcoin, right? First of all, we all are aware of when we had that huge dump back in March, right? And of course, a lot of miners had to sell their excess reserves of Bitcoin during that piece over there. So that might have lessened the selling pressure a little bit at this period here right now. But what's going on is Grayscale GBTC has actually purchased since the halving more Bitcoin that's been mined. On top of that, you have Square, Cash App. They also are set, and I had graphs to show you on Square. I can't show it to you right now. That's why I might do a better presentation. Happy to be back too. Thanks, DJ Entertainment. Uh, Gotta love that GBTC. They're actually buying up more of the supply that's being mined, right? So between Square and Grayscale alone, you're talking about two on ramps that are buying up way more than the Bitcoin being mined in this current new phase we have here. When I say new phase, I'm talking about this new 4-year cycle. That has enormous consequences for the Bitcoin market. Enormous consequences. So as we're in right now, it's still possible we see a little bit of selling pressure over this next week. I think it's going to be muted. Again, I still have my buy orders in at 85 and at 82, and I hope they hold. It's looking more and more likely that this support down over here, this trendline support, is going to hold. Now, of course, all of this is an unknown. It's all an unknown, right? If we break, is it possible? Anything's possible in the markets. We've all learned that. We saw oil trade negative, right? We all know that anything is possible in the markets. We want to be ready for everything. At the same time, it is also possible this trend line right here. This is like within our triangle, within our upper resistance and lower support. We have this consolidation period, right? We broke down right over there and we're able to get back up into it. And now we're kind of in the middle right now. It's quite possible we are going to break up to the upside. Absolutely. I believe that that's quite possible. And if we do, it's going to take us, I believe, into the 10,400 resistance and this trend line. Again, once we break up above that, officially here we're going to celebrate. The bull market has begun. All I want to do when I'm touching base with you on this today is say that the probability of seeing any type of substantial dump in my mind has greatly decreased. Those chances have greatly decreased. All right, let's take a look at gold and silver. We'll start with gold. Yeah, I don't generally open up files, Pavan. So, operation security. I don't open up files that there's no way that you could send me a file that I'm going to open or anyone on the internet. I don't do that. So you could you don't know. You could try to explain to us what's in the file. But here we go. Looking over here at gold. I was able to pick up a position off of this test of this trend line support over here when the 8 hour made the higher high. I'm holding that. I continue holding that. Of course, this is the area that looks there could be a potential profit taking. But what I'm looking at, and the reason I even got involved in this trade was because of the tensions going on between China and the United States, and that could definitely continue to give gold a little bit of continued bid over here. Get above 1735, and this trade is going to start looking really good. If we cross back below and break below this trend line and get back into this below this trend line, which should now be support, at that point that's done. And at that point too, I'm going to be really turning quite a little bit bearish on gold in the intermediate and near term. So we'll see. Gold looks like it has one last chance over here, but silver looks even a little bit more positive. Look at this. This is big resistance. Silver's finally gotten itself above. Just step back a second. You can look at it over here. All right. This is quite bullish for silver. This might actually, and if gold gets going over here, this could actually take a test run at the highs for the year. Silver, I was wrong on silver. I was really wrong on silver. When silver was coming back off its lows from the crisis, and it's only trading at about 1450. It was really lagging gold by a wide margin, and I thought that that was going to continue. Silver has been performing exceptionally well. No problem being wrong. I could be wrong often. That's no problem. But I want to be on the right side of the trade when it develops. Above this area right here, right now, starting to look really healthy. And I definitely want to congratulate all of the silver holders and believers. I hold the physical stuff, right? I love silver, but I'm under the impression that gold is going to continue to outperform. Silver showing some really strong signs of life, and I definitely want to applaud the believers and holders. Now, DXY. Yeah, so let me talk. Let me go back to that's a really good question about what potential entry point would I look for silver. So we see that we're breaking. First of all, we broke above this resistance here at 1740, and we had a little bit above it at 1760, clearing above that right now. Now I have to be honest; it appears to me that actually we're going to see some type of breakout over here. I don't know. You got a little bit of resistance coming up at the whole number 1800. You can see it from over here. Maybe from where we are right now, that's where we go to. Everyone knows that I don't play breakouts, that I look for the retests. I was able to share a web page talking about why retests happen and why they occur yesterday. Whoever was involved in the chat when we weren't able to live stream. On precious metals, I'm more inclined to take a breakout. Anyone that's feeling a little bit, what's the word that you would say, a little bit adventurous, and they're looking to take a breakout over here, with a stop down somewhere. Where would you put your stop? I would put mine somewhere around under 1720. That's for sure. I don't know. I'm not looking to enter the trade, so I can't tell you where I would look to enter it. I'm holding my gold. I felt like it was a better entry, coming off that trendline support, and at right now I'm not looking to enter. So Peter, I do, and I do not right now because I will have that. I could have that for you again, maybe on Monday. I'm a little, how do you say, discombobulated, or you guys, I think you know what you mean. I'm not trading. I'm not trading here, presenting from my normal setup, and it's a little bit cumbersome. So I don't have that for you right now. Um, and it might be a little bit before we get back into the normal groove here. Look at this though. We see the dollar coming on. I didn't make it. I did it visually this morning. This line over here, this trend line, which was definitely the signal of now the dollar has broken down, and we broke through that. If you were to clone that, which I could do right now, but it's not necessary, and then touch this little low over here, you could tell that it's also coming down over here, right? You could do that visually, everyone, right? And then let me do it for you. Nope, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. It didn't come down to there. So let me get rid of that. It was the support we have over there. It was the support we have over here at 97. I can't even read it. 97.90 that came over there and held, and we're coming up and we're testing this trend line over here. We're going to find out right now whether that we trade up through it or it acts as resistance. I don't know. We'll find out. Of course, we're all uber cautious here on a prolonged dollar weakness. The question might be, why are we seeing this dollar weakness, right? Question that came up in the comments yesterday is because that perhaps China is actually selling dollars, trying to hurt the U.S. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all. Could it be that perhaps that all of the Fed's actions taken 2 months ago, if you remember, we said there's about a 60-day lag, that they are starting to have an effect? Maybe. What else could it be? Why are we seeing this weak dollar? I don't know. I don't honestly don't think it's going to be too long lasting, but I'm going to trade what's happening technically, especially if we're rejected off of this resistance and start resuming down. That's going to provide some really nice entries against the dollar. The reason I say I don't think it's going to last is because, and we'll even see later today with the press conference, that for sure, as geopolitical risks take effect, the dollar is going to be that flight to safety. I don't know. It's an ongoing situation. We'll continue to figure it out. I'm going to follow what is happening technically, though. And if I see that, for example, the dollar is rejected now that it's coming up and it's testing this area of broken support and it's his resistance, we come back down. It's going to be, it's going to, we're going to position ourselves against the dollar. That's for sure. Let's take a look at some FX cross pairs. Yeah. So Mike Allison, right? So how do you say well, history has shown when precious metals are in a bull market that silver definitely leads, right? No question about that. So what is different about this time, and why is the gold to silver ratio at all-time highs, right? Because something's different. What's different this time? Well, this time what's different is that this current financial system is coming to an end. There's going to be a reset. There's no question about it. This is unsustainable. The dollar based system is unsustainable. Now, there's no alternative at the moment. That's for sure. Otherwise, for sure, China, Russia, and every other country would be involved in it. There is simply no alternative to the dollar debt based system that we're currently in right now. However, it's coming to an end, right? The last time the system came to an end was Bretton Woods, right? And what's going to happen when it comes to an end? Well, there's a reason that China and Russia are accumulating gold year over year, month over month, and that's because they're getting ready for the new system. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a gold based system, but whoever holds the gold is going to make the rules. So, central banks in this moment are buying gold. Sovereign nations are buying gold. And then you have other countries such as Germany, taking back their gold and taking it back to their land and their territory. You're going to see that continue. I do believe that the gold to silver ratio will continue to hit new all time highs. Now, that's not to say that silver's not going to go ahead and join the party, but is it going to lead gold this time? I don't know. I don't know. No, it's Bretton Woods, not Brighton Woods, Tim. All right, so let's go over here. Let's take a look at the euro this morning. Euro is showing some nice gains above the 1.11 level. That strong resistance. Is it going to confirm that breakout today? Sure looks like it. The day's not over though. We got a big session ahead of us. Let's see what the dollar does. You could see right here, this coincides with the dollar index breaking below 98.30. Now, what type of targets are we looking to the upside if it's able to maintain this breakout? You can see over here, it did not maintain the breakout, right? You can see over here, it did not. If it is able to hold this breakout and continue this move up, you got a couple of places to look for. You have the high over here from March, right? That should probably come into play. That's over at, let's call it the whole number, 1.12. That's just the first stop over there. You can see I have the resistance right there at 1.1215. Is able to break above there, this thing could really keep on going. Today's a big day for not only the dollar, but obviously for the euro US dollar. There's nothing to do right now, right? There's no positions to be taking right now. So we're just gonna get a review in the market, get back into the flow over here. I know that I'm personally out of it. All right. By the way, So happy to be back with everyone. Australian dollar, US dollar. Looks like it's coming into a little bit of trouble over here. You could see it. Let me zoom in a little bit with you. When I say it looks like it's coming into a little bit of trouble, you could see it's being rejected again by that horizontal resistance coming in over at 0.66675. And then we have this the trend line that's going back. It's going back now about a year and a half, and that's also acting as resistance. So what do you think about that? Well, it's definitely under pressure. Makes sense with what's going on over here between the U.S. China. I don't see an entry right now. To be honest, though, if I was looking for one, and I just may, this might be the one to take. Let's see what happens over the next hour or so. But that's looking pretty good over here. I like the risk reward just coming back down into the support we tested earlier in this week. That was one touch this week. If we come back and test it again, take that out, all of a sudden this becomes a beautiful trade. Look at the trend line over here of that channel. That's in jeopardy over here. So we'll come back to that and watch that actually. Interesting. Taking a look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar again. So, by the way, this is a really good example of I saw this setup happening over here as we came above that really long resistance. But I also noticed that price was sideways, right? I definitely always avoid sideways markets. Just look at how price had been reacting over here. And then on the breakout, we didn't really take off, right? That was my sign when I saw price consolidating over here just above the broken resistance as support. Really wasn't doing much. Going to continue to avoid that. Definitely want to look for markets that are moving. Davidson, good to see you. Glad you're in here. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. We're seeing the Swiss franc being weakened. I wanted to talk to you about this also. I had again yesterday was going to be an amazing session. I had some charts showing the Swiss National Bank. They are actually, it turns out, the ones who is not only the Robinhood retail investors, but it's also been the Swiss National Bank stepping in and buying tech with huge, 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 huge numbers all throughout the downturn over here in the first quarter of 2020. They have increased their positions across the board. That's why we've seen the NASDAQ leading to the upside. They're doing that to weaken the Swiss franc on purpose. I'll try to go ahead and find those charts and present them to you. Again, it'll be a minute or two before I'm back to my normal groove here with you. So what do we see here at the Australian dollar, Swiss franc? Well, it says to me that first of all, we have our risk on pairs. Obviously, we're in a risk, excuse me, risk off pairs. The Japanese yen, the US dollar, this Swiss franc. Of the three of them right now, because of the central bank intervention, we have to look at the Swiss franc as the least possible one if we go to any type of risk off type of environment. And it also means in a risk on type of environment, we continue to look to trade against the Swiss franc. I think right now we need to see what happens today, what happens this weekend, and then one of two things is going to happen. Either things are going to heat up and we're going to really go to strong risk off. By the way, if we go to risk off, it's going to get nasty, and it's going to get nasty really quick. Or whether or not basically, and we'll find out later today after Trump speaks and whatever China's reaction is to it, or whether or not we're going to go into a bit of a continued risk on phase. If that's the case, we're going to want to be positioning ourselves against the dollar. We're going to want to be positioning ourselves with the Australian dollar, and we're going to really have a good week next week. Now, the one thing to be aware of is if Trump does come off hard today, China normally takes their time in their retaliation, in their response. They're very methodical, they're very thoughtful. So that will be hanging over our heads. We'll wait and see what happens. We'll take a look at it over the weekend. We didn't take a look at Crude this morning. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. I skipped right over it. Let's take a step back. First of all, there's nothing else to see that it continues to consolidate. right? We have been neutral on this, just continuing to wait and watch. There's no reason to get involved. A break above 35, that's going to set our alarms off, where we're going to want to then be looking for an entry. We're going to be watching to see what happens when the gap closes, whether or not that's a place to lean into, or if we even trade into the stronger resistance. But that will be an opportunity for us to get long. Crude, there's any way you look at it, is in a really strong bear market. This is nothing more than a bear market rally. This is going to eventually roll over. When it does, is when we'll look to attack. Patience is the key over here. There's nothing yet going on Crude. We continue just to watch it and monitor it from afar. What about the Australian dollar, Japanese yen? Right? I was looking at the dollar. That looks a little bit more, how could I say, tasty to me. But I'm looking over here also at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This looks quite interesting. I'm getting a feel for my new home. Now, generally speaking, I use this to know when to take profits, right? When to take profits. But however, because of the current situation, which is that we have the strong possibility of going to risk off in a hurry. And if that does, that's going to have legs. So if you step back over here, you could see that we are into some pretty strong. Oh, let me get rid of that. Apologize about that. You can see that we are into strong resistance overhead. This is still a downtrend, right? This is still a downtrend. Is it possible that we have a total V-type recovery? Of course it is. But we're in strong resistance right now. There's every reason to get a little bit bearish over here. Is this also a possible entry today if we were able to go ahead and make a lower low than this previous price bar over here? It is. Come back to it. I'll check between the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and the Australian dollar, US dollar. You can see that the yen is a little bit stronger than the dollar so far today. It doesn't mean that we're not going to see a turn. The dollar is at a pretty important level. When I say important level, the reason I'm looking at it is right over here. If it gets rejected by this broken trend line over here and the whole number at 98.30, that is going to be a sign that we're going to see further dollar weakness. The possibility still remains that this was a false break if we reclaim that. And that could happen not only today, but as you all are aware of, we could have a big gap up over the weekend. I don't know if Trump's speaking. I don't know if he's speaking before or after the market close. I think that's an unknown. So we'll be watching next 2 days. This today and Monday are ultra crucial to the future of the near term future of the dollar. Miguel, absolutely. I missed you all yesterday so much. I really did. I feel like well, first of all, I'm so happy to be back with all of you, and I also feel like, well, it's probably not going to be until Monday that I'm really back strong into my groove. That's okay. Listen, you miss a day, and all of a sudden you're a little out of rhythm. You just got to get back into it slowly. Happy to be sending Friday with it, y'all. I really am. Patience equal tacos. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. You know what? Yesterday too, I had recorded our look at the S&P in the afternoon. Everything that went wrong could have went wrong yesterday. It truly did. And after recording it, for whatever reason, was not able to. I had to update the operating system yesterday. Was not able to go ahead and save it to the machine. I wasn't able to upload it for you. Whatever. It was just that type of day. Here we are today. What else do I want to look at though? Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I definitely want to continue to track, as well as the Australian dollar, US dollar. Now, S&P coming off. We are now about 3 minutes before the market open. I think it's trading towards the lows of the session again. No, just high lowest point since New York, not overnight lows. Um, I don't I don't want to take the trade or look to take the trade on the S&P today, simply because I've been out of the loop the last 24 hours, and because of that, I need to get my feel. All right, we're gonna really check back in really soon in about 10 minutes to see what's going on with the S&P and how that's developing, as well as we're gonna turn back to the Australian dollar US dollar and the Australian dollar Japanese yen. Before we do, let me check in on my euro Japanese yen. That's also at an area where it has become interesting. Step back, right? I think the euro is going to be, I said that if the euro US dollar breaks that strong resistance, that I would become a euro bull technically, and that's all true. But it's I think it's a ticking time bomb. It's a matter of time before the euro start really to falls apart. It might not be the play against the dollar. We're seeing continued Japanese yen weakness in this really, if you think about it, this week was such a huge risk on move, right? I listen. I'm not going to lose my opinion, and my opinion is that the storm clouds are gathering. This looks like a gift up here. I'm looking for it. But right now, the Australian dollar pairs look a little bit more attractive. Let's take a look at the Euro Australian dollar, right? This looks interesting right now because Euro is strong. Australian dollars have been strong. I think that's about to take a turn today. It's not a type of market that I would look to place a trade on, though. Why? Do you see all of this sidewaysness? Right? I don't like that. So I'm gonna be standing aside though. I do expect that this is gonna continue up. We got a next area of resistance at 1.687, and then beyond that we got some strong resistance at the 1.7 whole number. So that's interesting. There is a good amount of money to be made in that trade to the upside if this really, if the Australian dollar continues to weaken over here. Again, I'd rather play it, which is where I think it's going to flip, which is we're going to go from to risk off. And risk off is going to mean all of a sudden, after this really week or two of weakness in the Japanese yen, it's going to start to pick up. So I'm watching that this session actually. Again, I have no problem taking a trade going into the weekend on foreign exchange. Do it all the time. S&P, no, I won't do that. Here we go over here. Watching and monitoring. You could tell. Please go spam elsewhere. Volatility catching a bid. Here we go with the U.S. Open. I just want to come in over here and check out the S&P. Listen, it's Friday. You got to get in the mindset of everyone over here. We had a big week. First of all, people with the overhead unknown of Trump speaking later really not going to be looking to lean in. I don't think so, right? Profit taking, I think that is going to be the issue. Whether or not we see any selling, I'm not sure yet. But I do think that, and starting yesterday afternoon, as soon as that announcement came through the wire, you saw some profit taking, and that could continue this morning. Um, it, we have over here this little yellow line over here. That was that local support earlier in the week. Start trading below that, right? I'm not saying we won't get involved because just the risk reward coming back down into that support that was tested just yesterday or the day before yesterday, excuse me, at 29.72. That support was bought up. That breaks, then the target really becomes a beautiful trade back into the upper of the lower trend lines and the support at 29.47. We'll watch it. I'm just more inclined to be trading the Australian dollar pairs this morning. Here we go. We got the Australian dollar, Japanese yen turning negative now. It's about 10 pips below. I'm going to go ahead and set an order here. All right, we'll see what happens. To be honest, I really did not foresee the possibility of myself getting into a trade today. But listen, it's a lot better when you go into a session with that type of mind frame and that type of attitude. And then if something happens, what do, right? I agree, Vincent. I think that looked like uh, a bull trap yesterday. You could sense. By the way, let's go back and look at it. It's really important. Look at this range we've been in, right? This range going back to early April. And hold on, let me zoom in on it to give you a really good look. Just look at the structure we have over here. We're in this channel, and then we have our levels within this channel, and we were above the upper level, right? Is that a place that you want to look to be buying? No, right? Is it a place to sell? Well, not. There was a lot of momentum yesterday. There's no question about it. You could see yesterday when it began to look toppy, right? Um, but any retest of this whole area up here gets more and more attractive to begin looking for the sell side or continued then momentum down. But looking to buy up here, the risk reward is not there anymore whatsoever. Again, as we start coming towards the lower end of this channel, then we could look into buy. Yeah, unless things have really changed drastically. I maintain a bearish bias here right now on the markets as a whole, especially as we're towards the top of this range right now. I know a lot of people became Uber bulls this past week, right? Listen, that's the time when you want to consider the other side. I agree. This is a great comment. There's no crashing anymore. One more crash and everything will explode. That's why every country is printing money. This is the last bet. This is a great comment. This is why Warren Buffett said, "I did not expect the Federal Reserve to come in so fast and so hard." He was caught off guard. He thought he was going to have some more time to go ahead and put that war chest to work, $120 billion in cash. And the reason why the Fed acted so quick was because the system is so fragile. That's why when I talk about this current system coming to an end, there's no question about it. And how that ends, no one knows. No one, but if you don't realize yet that you could wake up tomorrow and your world could change drastically, that's the new normal we live in. There's no question about that. It's a very fragile system, and they are going to keep trying their hardest to do whatever they can to keep the music playing and to keep it going as long as possible. Now, that's a little bit out of their control. They could lose control. That's a, the thing about the thing about shorting the S&P, and everyone knows, go back pre-crisis, and basically my whole thing was, do not at all take a short on the S&P at any time. There's absolutely no way. Do not do it. There's no way. Do not do it. There's no way. Do not do it. And I always said, when it's time to short, you're going to see price falling hard and fast. That's always the way it breaks down. And then sure enough, all of a sudden it started breaking down hard and fast. That's when I became an active trader on the S&P, trading it to the downside. And then again, and I took about 7 or 8 tries picking the bottom before riding it up. And did I take profits way too early? Uh-huh. Way too early. But you figure 250, 300 points in the S&P is a good thing. Well, you know, I didn't expect this rise up. And that's back where we're at to right now. You don't want to be looking to short the S&P, right? If this starts falling apart again, and you'll know when it's falling apart, the moves to the downside will be violent again. That's when you could really look to short the S&P. When I take a sell trade on the S&P within a range, you know, uh, that's a swing trade we're looking, right? Anywhere from 1 to 5 days. That's the average. That's just a swing trade. I'm not really, the market trades both ways. There's plenty of money to be had on both sides of the market on that type of time frame. If you're looking to actually short the S&P to make a ton of money, do not do that until you actually see that it's breaking down. It's clear as day. We'll all be talking about it, and you're gonna see the limit downs again. It's not happening right now. Chris, no one knows what times Trump's speech is today. I think it's going to be right before the close or after the close. We do have Powell speaking later today. We have Powell speaking at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. I don't think that he's going to be introducing anything new here to the market. We'll be watching and waiting and seeing. What else do we want to look at this morning? Let's take a look at some British pound pairs, starting with the pound US dollar, and then we'll look at the pound Japanese yen. That's interesting. When I say interesting, we're looking at this possible really breakdown here of the dollar. We're going to find out today and tomorrow. And if we do, then we could see some further rise here of the pound benefiting from that. But the closer we come to this resistance up here in the top of this channel right here, and this horizontal resistance, whether it's at the 1.2416 or a little above it, those both look like areas that we could come in and possibly take a look at shorts on the pound. Now, if the pound is able to get above the higher one, the 1.2486, that at that point, like at these last two uh, times that it protruded upwards, that could be a time that it's like the halfway mark at that point. That's the 50-yard line on the field. At that point, we could really start getting a little bit more bullish on the pound. But right now, as we're seeing these moves upwards, these are upwards moves into resistance. This actually could be a gift. The pound maybe sometime later next week might become interesting against the dollar. Great to be here. Great to see you. Kuldeep, thank you so much. Mohammed, good morning. Yeah, seeing the dollar come off again. We're watching for the dollar to hold that. Let's take a look at it before I go back to the pound US dollar. Let's look at the dollar index. It was coming up this morning, testing, and it still could be tested, but coming up. Let's go to a lower time frame. Let's look at it on the 30-minute maybe. Yeah, that's a nice look at it actually. There's the 98.30. We actually came in all the way up to it, right? And so far I have tested it. Now, it's too soon here. I'm giving this until Monday, to see first what happens this session, and then to see where we open up over the weekend, right? But what we're watching right now happen is you can see the break of first of all the trend line. After the break of the trend line, notice how price came right and touched exactly that broken support, confirmed it as resistance. This is day traders here. Came back down, and now we came up again, and we tested the support at 98 at 98.30, 98.29, almost exactly, right? Now, what I'm concerned with happening today is whether or not at the close of today we're above or below that 98.30, this trend line over here. I want to see at the close whether we're trading below or above it. Now, I think we could all use, you can see we held at the support over here, the lower support at 97.90, right? We start resuming back down below that. Then at this point, this thing could really pick up some serious momentum. So this is one of the most important things going on right now. This is something we need to keep watch, but we got a big session ahead of us, and it's too soon to tell, right? Just too soon to tell. Now, let's take a look back at the pound Japanese yen. So seeing that strength in the pound, weakness in the yen. This is continuing. Trying to get a good look over here. I see really strong, decent resistance that it's having trouble, but it's kind of like that horizontal. And then I see on the downside, I see that triangle pattern, right? Generally speaking, leads to a breakout to the upside. So, hey, listen, it could happen. I like to draw that in a little bit better for y'all to see it. Sometimes you have, or at least I have trouble of maintaining a neutral position, and my biases could get in the way. No question about that, right? So what I see here is one of two things could happen, and it's getting close to happening right here, right? There's no question. If we break above this resistance over here, at that point, we could be really coming back in and testing this area up higher. We're at a nice area to be looking for a trade. I don't know if the pound is the pair to take it on right now. At the same time, if this holds and then we get rejected below that trend line, that's opening up further downside. I think that this is really neutral. I don't think it's the best setup, but I do want to look for a risk on setup. I have a risk off setup in play. Um, and that's this breaking down over here. I think that the Australian dollar, if we flip, and I really think that I understand that we've had a huge risk on environment this week, but if it could flip really strongly to risk off, and if it does, this is going to be the pair to play to the downside. If this risk on environment continues to the upside, do I want to be long the Australian dollar, Japanese yen? Still, not really. I don't really see it forming in such a way. Pound Japanese yen though, right? If we make a leg up over here, this looks interesting. I'm undecided. I can tell by my voice. Let's take a look at the US dollar, Japanese yen, since we're focused here on the yen. This continues to be nowhere. This continues to absolutely be nowhere. We're maintaining this tight range between the resistance and the support. Stay far away from it, right? And ever since right here, ever since we broke out of this rising wedge, and we noticed we broke out of the rising wedge, and then when we came back down into the support, yeah, this is a setup, and this is a long trade that you could take. Now, you have to understand the difference between taking a trade and choosing the best trade to take. And this was not the best trade to take because if you look at it, it's sideways. And then that was the reason that we discerned better to stay on the sidelines, not take this trade. And look what's happened since. It stayed sideways and continues to do that. So again, we'll continue to monitor it, but it's not the trade to take. What about the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen? Let me look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar first. And, you know, I don't know. You hear my voice? And, you know, I don't know. Sorry, I was just checking in the comments for a second. Head and shoulders on the pound yen. Pete, I'll come back and look at that. So I honestly I don't know. I can hear by my voice. I know that once we broke this support over here, it became very bearish bias here on the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar, where I don't want to trade to the long side. It's got to structurally regain its bullishness, and that's not happening right now. At the same time, I've been very vocal about it. Dollar breaks down. It's not the Canadian dollar to play against it. So stand aside here. So looking at the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen now, with that in mind, um, resistance is held over here, no question about that. I don't see a trade, so this is not where I want to attack. This I don't know. I just don't like this. I don't see it on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. It's really clear when the markets are offering any type of setup that's attractive. It's really clear. You look at it and you're like you kind of get excited and you're like this looks good. Um, the only thing that I could really see happening over here would be if everything goes against my current view, right? If we break above this resistance over here, that's everything going against my view and then taking a long over here, well, maybe the Canadian dollar has some repricing to do. I don't see it. I can't imagine that happening, but we will watch that because we are getting close to a break of that resistance. If we break above that resistance and the price action on the break looks good, I could see myself getting involved over there. All right, because the Canadian dollar on this risk on rally has been lagging compared to things like the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar. I just looked at those, and those don't appear to me like they're getting ready for more further substantial upside. Maybe it's the Canadian dollar's turn. You said a reverse head and shoulders. I see kind of the structure you're talking about, where this is the left shoulder, this is the head, and that's the right shoulder. Same neckline then. It's the horizontal resistance over there. That looks kind of interesting. to be honest, the pound Japanese yen, but it really comes down to discerning for me what's the best setup. Yeah, that's true, Blue White. They have been on fire. So is that fire going to continue, or is it going to cool off a little bit? Right. That's what we're looking at. They've been on fire. If well, we'll see. It's a big week. It's a big week between the U.S. and China. Weekend, I should say. We'll see what happens. Let's take a look at this on a lower time frame over here. Let's go jump down to the 30-minute time frame to look at the S&P 500. We've now been open over here. So by the way, gotta love our little trend lines. You see that support? Boom, 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 holding, right? All right. So what happens over here? Well, I have to say, the closer we come back up and test that resistance, as long as we stay above it. When I say resistance, right? Well, it comes back over to this point. Actually, I didn't even see that. There's the resistance. Then look to the right. You see the two touches up there, right? So that's the area to look for another rejection. Get above that, and then that will be really beautiful. Because if we get above that and we could get an opportunity to look at around 3060 today, that would be really, really wonderful. That would be a place that then all of a sudden the risk reward gets really attractive for me. Um, let's see what happens. Right now, this is the area to look for. Do we play a breakdown if we lose this support line over here? No, I don't think so. We'll see. Let's keep watching it for now until something becomes obvious. Kevin, is that the audio is better or is that the video is better? The video quality or the audio quality is better? No, I didn't take a trade on the Australian dollar Japanese yen. I'll go back to that in a second and show you on the chart for us to take a look at it. I'm watching it today. I'm looking today for a move in a hard move to risk off. Why? Well, we've been risk on like crazies, right? And now we have Trump speaking later today. I can't imagine Trump holding a press conference regarding China and then coming off soft. That would be really bad, right? If he did that. I'm watching the Australian dollar Japanese yen as a way to play that trade. I'm watching it because of it. Let's take a step back. You can see it's in resistance. There's the resistance right over here. Got this overhead resistance, right? And then I normally use this for taking profit, looking at it for an entry today. If we are able to go ahead and make a lower low, right? I have the entry right at 71.10. At that point, I'm gonna go ahead and take the trade, and we're gonna see where it goes. What was the pound US dollar, the Australian dollar US dollar that I was in earlier in the week, and I thought this, I've really been very clear. This also looks good, by the way. Um, I was been very clear about in this current environment where until yesterday, when we saw a little bit of like, usually at the end of moves, you see the sharpest price movement. That's the sign of an end of a move, and we saw that yesterday big time. But uh, earlier in the week, I was short on the Australian dollar, US dollar, and as we came into this area of support, that's when I moved the first area of support. That's when I moved my stop loss to break even. I didn't take any off the table, and I've really been vocal about in this current trading environment that you should actually be taking a little bit off, a little profit into the first area of support and resistance because we haven't been seeing any follow through. And I was so confident that we were going to see actually a breakdown over there that I didn't take anything off, and instead, going against my own advice, wound up just getting a stop loss at break even. And this is the environment we've been in. It's been very choppy up until yesterday, very little follow through, and because of that, your stop should be a little bit wider, which means your position sizes are smaller, and you should be looking to take profit into the first area of support and resistance, whereas normally I look to push through to the second. Yeah, there was a also analysis I wanted to give. Even with the peso trading so high, back to around 25, 25 and a half, Mexican exports the first quarter were extraordinarily low. It does not bode well. Obviously, they are not yet have beaten the curve as far as the whole virus situation. And not only that, they've come out of lockdown, even though not officially. They've come out of lockdown. Um, so we're going to see whether or not that. Well, that's a really good test. If you know, being that they're still haven't hit the peak, they've come out of lockdown essentially. If whether or not you still see the rates of infection decrease, then you know that's a good sign that all of this lockdown really was not the best thing at all. Or if infections continue to rise, then we know that lockdown is good. Listen, this also broke down structurally pretty bad. If you get above the broken, this is now resistance at 2340. Get back above there and into this channel over here. All right, then it's possible we've been saved, and at that point we could look for a resumption upwards. I might even take that trade, but right now structurally this is not looking good. This is you could see this trend line over here. Once price broke down out of it, it came back up, it tested it, and the horizontal support, broken support at resistance, 2239. It is now confirmed that and is resuming downwards, right? I won't trade against the dollar with the peso. There's no way. And if you step back, you're still in an uptrend. But this does not look structurally positive whatsoever. So there's no reason to take that trade. That's a low probability trade. You expect it's going to continue to push to the downside unless you regain this resistance now. If you regain that resistance, it does become an attractive trade. Maybe that's next week. That's why you wait. You wait to attack. You just don't attack, right? All right. S&P, what's it doing? Yeah, GC, I don't know if that was on I think it was on Tuesday. I was short on the Australian dollar, US dollar. Right? The rejection right here off this resistance and lower trend line. I got short right over there. This was during the New York session with all of you, and it immediately fell 1% right into the area of the support over here. And then I moved my stop loss to break even as I always do. But I thought it was going to follow through. It didn't. We continued to go risk on. This is when the US's response to what was happening in Hong Kong was kind of weak. The market took that as the US is not going to do anything, and it flipped back to risk on with vengeance. But now Trump is scheduled to speak. Is it possible we see that weakness or this trade resume? Technically, it's still set up. We're being rejected by this resistance again. It came down to me today between looking at the Australian dollar so far, US dollar, and the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. So we'll see. Um, Is the Australian dollar, US dollar currently in a downtrend? Well, it depends on how you define the trend. If you're looking at since the low, the day of that the swap line from the Fed was opened up directly to the Australian central bank right over here, that was the low. And if you're looking from the end of or the middle of March until now, that's an uptrend. But if you step back further, right, is that an uptrend or a downtrend? Right? So I mean, it's a strong downtrend to me. We're just coming back up into this line of resistance. Above this line, above this trend line, that then Australian dollar, US dollar becomes bullish. But it's being rejected right now by that trend line. That goes back from this point, from December. That goes back 1 year, that trend line, where it maintained that downtrend. It broke above there briefly, but then was rejected and then took out those lows and then bled to death. Now we're back up into that trend line. Get back above it. Could you look at the long side, or as I've been talking about for the past 6 weeks, anyone who's taking buying off support over here, anyone who thinks that this was the bottom and we're in an uptrend is buying off support, of course that I've said, hey, look, that's a good way to go, but not me. Yeah, this is we're now into a strong trend line resistance, horizontal resistance, bigger picture. The Australian dollar, US dollar is in a downtrend. If we flip over here, this is a good entry because the risk reward is on your in your favor. All right, let's keep going over here. I want to check in on the S&P again really quick with y'all. I want to see what's going on, and I noticed that 30-minute probably better time frame for us all to look at over here. And all right, we're coming back down. We're challenging this trend line over here, and is also the lows of the day twice. Interesting, right? Um, I I personally don't feel like it's Friday. I don't really want to get into a position on the S&P, so I'm not looking here. But nevertheless, I want to continue to watch it. And again, it's just as important to have the insight and perspective of how trades are developing, even if you're not involved in them. That really helps set you up so that when you are taking trades or whatever you're taking trades on, you're kind of hitting the ball better. You're much better in the groove over here. So we're going to continue watching that. It's a bit of an exercise. I'm not looking to take a trade on the S&P today. Now, I do have an order in on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm highly interested in what happens on the US dollar today. Yep. Blue Boy, that's really good of taking a moment to be aware of your surroundings, right? First of all, it's Friday. Second of all, I mean, Powell is speaking in 1 hour, but that I don't really think that's going to affect the market. But you got Trump, a huge unknown over our head later today. Yep, it does look like a short for the S&P 500. To be, I'm not taking it. If we do rise, maybe Powell says something that sets us to rise, and if we come back and test this trend line over here, uh, then that might become interesting place. The risk reward is too good, and I'll look at it then. But right now on the downside, even though it looks like we're going to see further pressure, I'm not looking to take a trade there. All right, what else? New Zealand dollar. Let's look at the U.S. dollar, and then let's look at the Japanese yen. Let me take a step back. This looks like it's taking out some strong resistance over here. Definitely continue looking to the buy side. U.S. dollar, you could see it broke above this resistance over here at the time that the U.S. dollar broke down below the 98.30 level. Um, Nevertheless, I'm not looking to play along here above that resistance. Now flip to support, stay above that, and that continues to be really bullish. If we do, if and when I say if, I'm talking about today and Monday. If we enter risk off, that risk off is going to come in hard and fast, and you're going to see the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar, which have been on fire the last few days, flip the script, and they are going to become the two weakest pairs really quick. We're also going to see the Japanese yen, which has been very weak, become the strongest. Yeah, I'm holding my gold. There's no question about it. Um, but it depends on where your entry was. If you got into an entry now on gold, I wouldn't be looking to hold it over the weekend. I do expect or continue that we're going to take out that area of 17. Hold on, let me pull it up. 1735 because of what's going on this week. We have like some really uncertainty, geopolitical tensions, uncertainty that's favorable for gold. You see it breaking out now outside of the bull flag. I'm happy holding this. Again, if we get back below this trend line over here, at that point, just locking in a few dollars, but whatever. This looks like this has some nice potential. It's looking beautiful right now. There's not much else to say. Silver's also looking so beautiful today. Both those continue to look good, unless maybe Trump's press conference and he's like, "Listen, we really love China. We're really looking again to go ahead and continue to work out some type of trade deal with them." I can't imagine it being favorable for risk going into this weekend. We'll see. What else do we want to check out? I want to check out the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen also. That looks very similar to the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Interesting. You could see that they are leading compared to the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and that it's broken above this huge resistance now. It's really positive. Don't want to trade against it to the downside at all unless we lose that support again next week. I think that the Australian dollar is a better trade, but also just watching what will happen on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. I want to stay away from Swiss franc pairs when we talk about risk off. Now, if this risk on move continues next week, I might want to attack against the Swiss franc. So in a risk on environment, I want to attack against the Swiss franc right now. So I'll be coming back to that. Let me go ahead and actually highlight this, and then let me also look at the Australian dollar Swiss franc. I want to see what's going on with that pair. Also looking pretty bullish over here. Wow. Young Feng Zhu, thank you so much. Benjamin, that's an awesome question. Just go ahead and Google that right now. Go ahead and Google that right now, and you will just read a few different web pages, and you will definitely then understand risk on and risk off, and then in foreign exchange, why the Australian dollar is considered a risk on pair and the Japanese yen risk off. Yeah, we've looked at the S&P multiple times today, not looking to take a trade because it is Friday. We're definitely, well, I am maintain that little bearish bias, so it's trading down, and because again, markets don't like uncertainty. Yesterday, as we were trading towards the top of this range, it was the best time to be looking to go ahead and take profits. We saw the people get really jittery really quick as soon as Trump scheduled the press conference with the topic of China. But if you look at this, if you look at the range we're in, and it's defined by these trend lines that we're in, we're at the very top of that range, and you're looking at strong resistance above us. This is when, at that point, I saw a lot of traders actually FOMOing, buying that momentum yesterday. A lot of traders did it. That was when you should actually have the awareness definitely to back off, right? That's again, um, anyway, how does this look right now? Come down in, and we see that we got some pretty strong resistance above us at 30.37, 30.38. Get above that, and then that we might be able to test 30.60 again. I would like that a lot. Is that going to happen? I don't know. First thing the markets need to get out of the way is Powell speaking in about an hour, and then the bigger unknown is going to be Trump this afternoon. Um, I'm not looking for a trade at all on the S&P this Friday. No, Jason, I don't. I do not. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate that. I'm so happy to be back with all of you. I'm not so happy yet with my current setup, but we'll get there. We're gonna get there really quick. Dollar continues to be under pressure. Dollar is a big day for the dollar. This is uh, we're gonna find out today, and then on the opening on Monday whether or not this is a definite breakdown over here. We resume back down, making taking out that low, taking out that level of 97.90, and it's on. It's listen. The daily could still close back above 98.30, and if that does, then we're back within the range. And also, I'm more concerned about with the opening. Look what happened over here, for example. Come back a couple of weeks, and then we closed at the trend line support on Friday, and then we had that huge gap up open on Monday. It's quite possible. It's still a very uncertain situation, and we're going to continue tracking it. I love you all too. I really do. I missed you all yesterday so much. I felt so bad when I couldn't not only be online with you, but then yesterday when I couldn't provide the afternoon update. So that's all now fixed. Don't feel 100 yet, but we'll get there. So Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Let me check in on it also. I like this when you could see the lower highs coming in, right? And then the higher lows, and then the consolidation into it. I like it because it means a big move's coming. And it could break either way. I have no way of knowing if it's going to break out to the upside or downside here. I just know that if it breaks out to the upside, I'm comfortable not taking it. If it breaks down to the downside, I do have a bias going into the weekend. There's no question about it, and it's that we're going to see risk off come into the market. There was a good article on Zero Hedge last night, and I can't name the names. It was the quant from, I think it was J.P. Morgan. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. And he also was talking about the same. He doesn't mean to rain on the parade here, but we're not having this V type recovery, and that because of what I've been talking about, the heightened tensions between the U.S. and China, that we are really setting ourselves up for something that could really weigh on the global economy here, and that is the situation as we've seen last year between the U.S. and China. No, 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 Dave. I'm not. I'm not. No, 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 Dave. Just I want to be clear. There's no way that my bias is long the dollar. No, not even close. Right now, the dollar has lost 98.30. That was really, really important. This is the level right here, 98.30. Right. That was very strong support for the dollar. It broke below it. It also broke outside of this trend line support over here. That it's been within that range. Look at that range. This is now very bearish on the dollar. Very bearish on the dollar here, no question about it. Now, I'm saying it's not confirmed yet. There is the possibility by the end of this trading session, because you look for a confirmed break on the daily time frame, right? There is the possibility that we do not close at, we could get back up into that range by the close of today. At that point, it would not be a confirmed breakdown. That's all I'm saying. Now, there also is the possibility that, because it's a weekend, that we could close here outside of this and then gap up on Monday. That's also a possibility. So it's not until Monday that I will be able, with clarity, to confirm whether or not we've broken down here or not. S&P continues to be under pressure. Again, there's nothing wrong with being able to go ahead and notice it, and you don't need to be involved. You're right. If you're able to see things as they develop, and you're right more often than not, that's an asset to you that's going to really help you. You could just look on the daily over here. Look at that. Look at this price bar into that resistance, right? All right, let's keep going. Market's kind of settling in right now, and it looks like they're going to maintain that way. Um, that's right, Dave. 100%. 100%. Batal, that's a really good comment over there. I wish I could highlight that. He's saying, looking at the 20-month rolling monthly closing S&P 500, we would need to be above 2889 monthly close for higher prices in the coming months. 2889. That's kind of our line in the sand. We break below 2889, by the way. That's really interesting comment. If we break below 28.89, which is our horizontal support coming in right over here where my mouse is, that's also the trend line that separates us from whether or not the sellers are in control or the buyers are in control. Above that trend line over there, we know that the buyers are in control. Doesn't mean you can't sell. Below that trend line, the sellers are in control. So that's really interesting to see, our trend lines and horizontal support, confirming what you're looking at over there on the monthly as well. Yeah, we're very bearish on the S&P 500, no question about it. And when I say very bearish, I mean coming off the high of this channel over here, coming off the resistance yesterday. Yesterday, again, around 3 o'clock, 2:30, I looked at this and I was like, wow, that looks really toppy, right? I came back to my office about 45 minutes later and we were all the way down, off about 50 points. We have this, you could see the, over here, right here on the S&P 500, this little bit of horizontal support over here. That's local support right now. Get below that, looks really good here for the bears or for the sellers today on this session. You can see we've taken out this two areas right here of support. Get below this line over here, right? Then that the sellers really will have some momentum. Nice trading. Nice trading. No, I trade Bitcoin off of levels. I've been focused here on the 8 hour on Bitcoin as well. There's no specific time of day that I look to buy it. I'm looking off of support and resistance levels. It's so funny, people posting their phone numbers. That YouTube won't show them, but people posting their phone numbers as if you post a phone number in a live stream, someone else is going to pick up the phone and call you. All right, let me come back in. Let me check in on the Australian dollar. Japanese yen continues to maintain its bullish momentum here. Again, I do have a sell order in, and I'm maintaining that right now. Gold, everything is except the S&P, which is definitely under pressure here. Everything else looks like it's in a holding pattern. Seeing the dollar come off, why the S&P is falling. Eric, what type of time frame are you talking about when you ask how high Bitcoin will go? Yeah, gold is having a beautiful day. Hey Dan, if you want to send me an email, you can send me an email. Yeah, Tiger Dollar. I saw that the state of Washington has filed for, like, I don't know, I think it was $35 million to the Nigerian prince scam. It's unbelievable. It happens over and over again, though, right? Dan, I'm not going to email you. If you want to email me, you could go ahead and email me. All right. So what are we at today? I think we're kind of in a holding pattern. The cadence of the live stream has definitely hit that as well. We're on Friday. It's Friday, right? So Jordan, we're below the key level. It looks like in the dollar index, according to what you said, 98.30, right? So we've looked at this like ad nauseum today. We're gonna do it last time because it's so important for everyone. It's so important here. we've broken down here outside this channel on the dollar today, right? 98.30 was the level. 98.30 was where this trend line, the yellow trend line, support, and also that horizontal 98.30 support came into play. We've broken down below that. You can see that we came all the way down to 97.90, which was the next support, and that's where we bounced off of today. You could go down and look at that, and you could see a couple of things. You could see that once that level broke, the trend line, the support, we broke down below it, came back then and tested that broken trend. This is for day traders. Broke that trend line support, was then resistance. Came back down below it, came into the support, and then came all the way back up to 98.30 and tested that, and are now resuming downwards. Resume that back below that support, you're breaking down with a vengeance. Now, this is intraday. We need to see where this closes today. Is it possible that it could close up on the day, back in above 98.30, back above this trendline support? 100%. There's no question about it. There's still a lot of trading ahead of us. We'll look on the daily. We'll see where that closes later. It's also possible, because it's a Friday. Look over here. We closed down at the support. We gapped up. We gapped up this day over the weekend, and then the dollar continued. It's possible on a Monday as well that there's a gap up over there. So we are on the verge of breaking down here, but it's too soon to confirm it. We are watching. I heard that echo. Let me see if I can fix that. Again, I definitely hear that echo. I don't like it. Let me see if that worked. Oh, no echo over there. Thanks, Isan. I'm not really happy with the current setup. I hope that we can fix it soon. We will fix it soon. Yeah, it's a really good question for a Friday, Rich. And you're asking why Bitcoin and why not Ethereum or something else. You can see the dollar really resuming down right now. And that's because, listen, Bitcoin is the only one that's competing for money, right? Ethereum's use case is, well, that changes often, but it's not competing for money. Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that's competing against gold. It's competing against the US dollar, right? And at the end of the day, do I think that other altcoins might outperform Bitcoin in the coming bull cycle? I do. I think that there will be certain altcoins that will outperform Bitcoin, because I think as Bitcoin is trading sometime towards the end of the year, back around its all-time highs, and as it makes new all-time highs, probably early next year, you're going to see, all over the news media, everyone and their mother is going to be interested, and they're going to think they missed out on Bitcoin. So what are they going to do? They're going to say, "Oh, look, Ethereum's trading at $300. That traded as high as 1,500. I can make more money there," and they're going to get caught speculating. I also think at the height of the bull market, when we go bearish on Bitcoin and it comes off 80-85%, that you're going to see those altcoins also come off 95% or more. Yeah. So this is, the question is, should you hold the Australian dollar US dollar for a long period of time? Why I personally think that's a very bad idea. Now, listen, the purpose of this channel is for anyone who's serious about improving their trading. There's no question about spending just a short time here, and by short time I mean 1 week. All of a sudden, you are going to be improving your trading performance, because you're going to see the market in its structure a lot clearer. You're going to stop doing a lot of silly things that you are currently doing. And then after a few weeks, all of a sudden, it's really going to start coming together for you. Things that are often said and shared here, all of a sudden, are you're going to really understand them well. And that's why from then on, people really stick around, because it starts changing their trading performance drastically. we're seeing risk on in currencies really holding foot. We're seeing the dollar come off. We're seeing the Australian dollar continue to rise, and the S&P still maintains its its weakness during this session. Now, what we're looking at happening in about 40 minutes is Powell speaking. We're also looking at the London close. Expect some further volatility this last 40 minutes, and then we might see from then on that might be the peak in a lot of different instruments coming in to the close. Those moves might then reverse. I don't know what time Trump is speaking, whether it's before or after the market close. That's why we might see some big gaps this week. No, I average on foreign exchange. I trade the foreign exchange on the 8 hour time frame, and I average 3 trades a week. So general rule of thumb: if you're not profitable and you're taking more than 3 trades a day, that's probably the quickest thing you could do to change your results is really start trading a whole lot less and becoming really more choosy and picky about the trades you do take. Contrary to popular belief, it's not the more you trade, the more money you could make, right? Over trading is one of the biggest obstacles new traders have. If you're taking 3 to 5 trades a day, you're not making money. I know you're not making money. That's not the way to do it. You're trading on too low of a time frame. Your preference is too low, and you're trading way too much. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Model 3 Life. Have a wonderful weekend too. That's the way to trade this market right now. Again, I to be honest, I missed you guys yesterday. I wanted to get back into this groove, into this flow with you. That's why I was looking forward to this session. Not looking to trade anything, and that's why even why I could see the bearishness of the S&P. I wanted to stand aside on that. It's Friday, holding a gold long, and thank God. I mean, and this week I've only taken 2 trades, by the way. I took a short on the Australian dollar, US dollar. That was stopped out as break even. And I took a new long here on gold after being stopped out from a gold trade that was taken last week. Right. So only 2 new trades this week and closed the trade on gold earlier in the week. Um, and that's all it takes. What like stay close to break even and then put on a trade or two that really falls into your favor, and all of a sudden you're putting up nice profits. Yep. Isan, 100%. So I separate my trading on the S&P 500 when I talk about I average 3 trades a week on foreign exchange. 100%. Um, I took 2 trades on the S&P this week. Let me come down to a small time frame. Maybe I could find them pretty quickly. And this is Friday, right? So we're outside of a little bit norm over here. We have the opportunity to come ahead and so I'm trying to figure out. I took 1 trade where I went short on the S&P. Was it right here? Yeah. I think I took this was wherever the market closed. I think it was right here. Right? I got short the S&P right over here. It was at $3,003, right? I never had the opportunity to lock my stop loss to break even, and then overnight I came in and was stopped out overnight, and that was I believe it was like a 22 point uh, loss on that. Next day, I came in and I was able to actually take a short on the S&P, and I took half of that back. Right, I took a profit right into the support right over there. I don't remember exactly where the entry was. I took 2 trades on the S&P this week. Yesterday, I was sidelined because of my situation here. And when I say the question is what time frame should you be trading the S&P at? Look, it's not black and white like the foreign exchange, where for me it's only the 8 hour time frame. The 8 hour time frame gives all 3 sessions a day: Asian, London, and New York. It separates them. It gives you much better entries on the daily time frame, and at the same time, it prevents a lot of market noise and normal price fluctuations that get people really on the wrong side of things all day long. The choppiness, it filters it out naturally that you see on the 1 hour and 4 hour time frames. But on the S&P, it depends on what time of day you're looking at. It depends on how fast price is moving, and it could be generally anywhere from the 30-minute to the 15-minute are the two most common, and also 1 hour and sometimes the 5 minutes. So the S&P is, first of all, if you're not making money, focus on foreign exchange. Trade only the 8 hour time frame on foreign exchange and learn how to make money off of the structure of support and resistance, focusing on price alone with the help of trend lines. Once you're able to do that and you understand how the market works and what you need to profit, if you want to go to the S&P 500, which is an advanced market, right? It's not. It's much harder to trade than the foreign exchange. Then you could do that. But here we go, breaking down over here on the S&P. Oliver, I didn't take the U.S. dollar Mexican peso trade simply because it was it. Let's look at it. So by the way, as we come into this area of local support right now, right over here, you could see that it was support. Then when it was broken, it was resistance. This is local. It's a light level. It's not an important level. It's just for intraday trading. And then over there, it was flipped as support. Excuse me, support again. Once we trade below that, then the sellers have control on this session. Okay. Let's look at the higher time frames do help. Some traders have echoes and some don't. Is that what we're seeing? We're in a transition period. I'm gonna look at this on the 8 hour time frame with y'all. All right. So first of all, clear as day, U.S. dollar Mexican peso is in a strong uptrend. Right. I only look to buy off support in uptrends. S&P 500 aside, everyone. Again, that's a different animal. I trade both ways on that because I'm more intraday trading, turning that into swing trades. Foreign exchange, I'm on the 8 hour time frame. Strong uptrends only buy off strong support. In downtrends, only sell off resistance. Right? This, once we broke below this trend line down over here outside this channel, which happens right here, the bullish structure of this completely gave way. Actually, it's bearish, but I won't trade against the dollar with the peso. However, you could see we came back down. We tested that broken trend line support. It held as resistance and resumed off of it. It's very bearish. I won't take the trade because the US dollar is still in an uptrend, even though it's showing sign of weakness here versus the peso. If I'm looking to trade against the dollar, it's going to be against other instruments, not with the Canadian dollar, not with the peso. This could very easily come back and be a false break and get back above that trend line, that broken trend line support, get back into that channel. And again, above that horizontal support that was broken today at 22.39. At that point, yeah, you got to become bullish again. It broke back into its structure. It was saved. So again, today for the S&P, I'm just more about monitoring it, watching it, making sure that my analysis is correct. It is a Friday. I didn't want to take a trade and out. Look, I was out all day yesterday. Yesterday was unbelievable, and because I was not able to really be in my normal flow of the market, the last thing I wanted to do was jump in and start taking trades on the S&P 500. Absolutely not. I wanted to get back into seeing what's happening, to get back into that flow and knowing I'm on the right side. And you don't jump onto a tennis court and start the game. You have to warm up first, right? It's the same thing. You have to look at trading as a business. You have to look at it as if the truth, which is you're competing, and you're competing against people who take things very seriously. Those who put in the work are going to do the best. You all know how much work I put into it. So gold looks good. Nothing else to say. I want to check back in on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, which has been very big during this session. I'm still maintaining my sell order over here. My sell order is at 71.10. It's at the low of this price bar over here, this previous price bar. Up, we're in a new bar now. I'm gonna actually rearrange my order here. I'm gonna put it in at 71.18. Chris, the data feed I use for the S&P 500, I don't trade with Oanda. It is the SPX 500 US dollar. That is a CFD for the S&P 500. So we're looking beautiful with gold this morning. Next half out, next 25 minutes of trading should be very volatile coming into the London close. I'm gonna take a sip of tea here for a moment and get my bearings straight. First of all, to enjoy what it's like to be back here with all of you. All right. Thanks, Gene. Appreciate that. All right, let me settle back in with all of you. So the next 25 minutes are kind of important today for the shape of the day. But at the same time, we got a little bit of downtime. So I want to kind of check in with all of you and see what type of questions we're looking at. The question, this is an important one. Mateus is asking, well, how do you get 8 hour time frame on TradingView? So that's an upgrade. That doesn't come with the free version. But all you do is you click on the time frame, you go to the very bottom, and then you click on you put down 8, change minutes to hours, and then add. That's on the, I believe they call it the pro version, which is about $14, $15 a month. For me, this is the best charting platform that I know of, and it is absolutely essential to my trading. Anthony, we got 5 kids. We got 4 kids, 4 and under. Pound Swiss franc. The Swiss franc. Again, yesterday I was really looking forward to presenting some really interesting information regarding the Swiss bank, how they're looking to actually weaken the Swiss franc here. So I'm looking, if we continue risk on, to be trading against the Swiss franc. Probably that's good. If it's risk on, that means that we're going to be looking to attack with the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, not the pound. Pound looking for potential weakness over here. It looks like a fake breakdown over there, right? Looks like a fake breakdown or potential break. I wouldn't look to be long the Swiss franc though. Why don't I think it'll bounce off local support? You know what? It's the S&P is coming off a really nice week. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. It's coming off a really nice week, and the thing is that markets don't like uncertainty. Look at that, coming off a beautiful week. Um, we saw the profit taking yesterday afternoon as soon as Trump announced the press conference with China. It is possible. It is possible that Trump basically comes off soft. If Trump comes off soft, then we're going to see a continuation of this huge risk on move next week, right? No question about it. Is that an area right over here that I'm looking to buy the dip? No, no. This trend line over here and this trend line down over here, those are areas where it's attractive to come in and buy the dip, right? Right now over here though, again, yesterday was the really the time to attack. During this session it is also. Do I think that it's gonna? I don't think it's gonna hold intraday today. Now, again, if Trump comes off soft, we're going to see the S&P next week come out and take out the high of this week. There's no question about it. And at that point, it's a lot safer to go ahead and be looking at, buying into the index. Right now, though, on this Friday, we got definitely sell side pressure, mostly profit taking at this point. And then if all of a sudden, let's see what Trump does. It's a highly unknown. Absolutely. Glad to be here with you. Glad to be here with you. So I'm always looking for the risk. For example, I'm extraordinarily bullish at this moment in time on Bitcoin. So I look for the risks, the alternative to that trade. I am bullish on the dollar, right? My overall longer term bias remains bullish on the dollar. So what do? I look at the other side of that trade. I look at the printing that the Federal Reserve is doing. I looked at the swamp lines that they've opened up, and I say, what are the risks? And at the end of the day, I'm going to follow what's happening on the charts. But you're asking how could Trump come off soft today? And that's basically if he doesn't take any hard action, if he doesn't talk about putting perhaps sanctions, if he if he's not backing up what the people of Hong Kong, and he's just basically letting China get away with whatever they're going to get away with, and it's clear that he just says a few words to address it and nothing really happens. If he doesn't take an aggressive posture and there's going to be no action from the side of the United States, the market's going to really continue to tee off risk on next week. And I'm not sure, David, if those sanctions actually come from the president or if they have to come from the House. I'm not positive about that myself. Mike, I love having you as part of the community. I thank you for that. So we're coming down right now and testing this bit of local support right now. And again, it's a light level. That's not a heavy support level. It's just local from earlier in the week. All right. So GP, that's a good little bit of insight. I happen to believe it's the opposite. The harder the stance he takes against China, the more support he's gaining from the American people, and I think that because of that, that's one of the reasons why I think tensions will continue to escalate. China is not looking to back down versus the U.S. They actually right now, because of what happened in their country these past few months with the virus, by having that enemy of the United States, that helps. The people weren't happy with how the CCP reacted with their draconian measures. This gives them a common enemy. They like that. That's why they're really sounding the drum against Taiwan right now about bringing Taiwan back, because that gets the people behind them. Same thing in America. All you need to do is have a common enemy. Right now, that's the Chinese. By coming across hard on the Chinese, that helps drum up support, I believe. So I'm looking at this light trend line over here. You could see a price came into it once and then twice earlier today. We broke below that. We're now coming into this local bit of support. I'm assuming that price is going to break below that today. And once they do, I think then that sellers really are going to start gaining control. And you could see it's a red day so far on the indexes. Now the question is what's going to happen with Taiwan? I mean, not Taiwan. What's going to happen with the dollar? I don't know. That's a really good question. How will Trump's speech affect the U.S. dollar, introducing tariffs? Which I don't think he'll do, or other soft sanctions. Is it likely the U.S. dollar to grow after a soft speech about China? I think of it's a soft speech. If she comes across soft, I think the dollar continues to weaken. I think that if he comes across hard, that the dollar becomes that risk off trade. Cameron, I don't know what a neutral press conference does. That's why we watch the charts. That's why we react to the charts. That's why we're looking to see how price react. Like we could see Trump's press conference, and then we could discern, was that aggressive, was that passive, was that neutral, and then we watch how price reacts, and that is how you get the feel of the market. Interesting. So we're just talking about him canceling some visas. That's really, I mean, in my view, kind of soft. That would be leading perhaps towards a continued risk on next week. Now, as far as if again, I'm not looking to position myself in. I was not trading yesterday. I need it's Friday today, but definitely all day discerning what's going to happen. So this trend line now, let's make this darker because this trend line over here has now been in play, and that should maintain. That should be our resistance now that we're below it. If we come back up and test that, let's make this darker. All right, we can see this is when it broke to the upside. It then what became support, broke down below it. It briefly held as resistance until we claimed it, and then it was support, and then it's held as two touches so far today as support. Now we broke below it. Now, if we get a test of that trend line again and it holds again, that's a good place for intraday traders to lean into the short side, no question about it. Which way? Let's check out the Swiss franc over here. We'll start against the strength, which is the euro. Oh, seeing the Swiss francs. This is all support. I'll fix that up for you over the weekend. So we come in with some clean charts. Let's see another pair that's also so far pretty strong on the session. Still maintaining in there. Again, you're looking at what's happening right now. We got the fix in 13 minutes. So you're going to see some sharp price reactions. This is something that comes from experience. Never get suckered into a move right now at this time of day. Again, you're looking at these sharp moves going into the fix. Gold now testing the important resistance at 1735. Benjamin, thanks for being here today. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I don't know that the U.S. dollar is going to devalue in both situations. I think if Trump comes on hard today, there's an absolute possibility that the dollar strengthens because of it as we move into to risk on. George, have a beautiful weekend. Trev Beats, good to see you in here today. Anaya, good to see, I'm just so happy to be back with you all. Sorry about yesterday. I definitely, obviously, you all know how committed Memorial Day, right? On here for the live stream with you all later that afternoon, posting an update on the S&P for everyone, trying to help them out as much as possible. We'll definitely have this weekend the a look at the S&P, uh, take a step back, see what's going on. That will be after we get the news out of the way. We'll be able to get a little bit better insight. Next week could go either way, pretty hard, right? We could have continued risk on, or we could see some. So again, if we do get risk off, that's going to come in hard and quick. That's why I do have an open order. That's why I'm long on gold and have an open order right now on the Australian dollar Swiss franc. Waves are coming. That's right. The next wave is coming. Yesterday was the wave. Yes, if you notice the price action yesterday, you have to notice those big sharp moves. That's normally when you should be looking to take profit. If you are chasing those moves, right? You have to realize that you're chasing momentum. Those are the moves you should be looking to take profit into. Those big last gasps of moves, right? And then is right now what are we doing? Waiting for that next wave to come in. They're gonna come in. Hi man, appreciate you. Thanks so much. Yeah, Peter. So no, the don't ever be or take a trade because of the swap, the interest that you pay or receive. Be worried about the money that you make from the movement of pips. That by far outweighs any type of interest. And of course, we don't trade exotics. We're not trading the Turkish lira, where the amount of interest you're paying or receiving is really takes effect. Right? We're focusing on the majors. Matt, have a great weekend. Cameron, beautiful weekend. Thanks, George. I appreciate the support. Big smile on my face. Here we come down, testing now in the S&P. Looking good. What's the dollar doing? Nothing. Very interested to see what happens with the dollar today. They're low volume. You want so the thing about trading and traders is that as you start off trading, you probably think that the more volatile a market is, the more opportunity you have to make money. And you also think that the more trades you take, the more opportunity you have to make money. Both those things are untrue. You're looking for clarity. You're not looking for volatility. You're looking for high probability setups, right? You're looking to be methodical. Over trading leads to losses. You don't need to overtrade to make money. People wonder, how is it possible you make money taking 3 trades a week, right? Forget even make money. You can make you can make serious returns taking 3 trades a week. But if you're taking 3 trades a day, there's no way you're making money. Rodrigo, that's also, I mean, you have to understand too. Once people start thinking that the markets are like so safe that it's you could just go in and buy, and it's almost like hey, the Fed's got my back. We looked at that on the channel before we went dark. The markets are not trading off the size and expansion of the balance sheets. They're trading off of global liquidity. All right, that's one distinction that was very important. That's the most recent uploaded video on the channel on the S&P 500 if you want to look at it. If you didn't see that yet, that's an extremely valuable lesson in there. And once retail traders start thinking, or once you get institutions FOMOing, those guys at hedge funds, what do they know? That's when you're going to get a turn in the market. That's when it becomes dangerous. You could see right now, just follow what's happening on the charts. We're now breaking down below that support. Momentum is picking up here, no question about it. Let's see if the dollar rebounds today or not and joins into this party. Again, the way I'm looking to play that is a flip off to risk off. I have an order set on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We'll see. Also, continue to hold my long gold. Only 2 trades this week for me on foreign exchange this week. I don't, uh, I don't, I don't follow volume at all. For those of you that are just new to the channel, trading is extraordinarily complex. One of the greatest edges you could have in trading is going ahead and taking something so complex and simplifying it down. How do I do that? I follow price alone. I follow price around the market structure of support and resistance with the help of trend lines, right? I don't pay attention to volume. I am one of the greatest passions that I have is the markets, and I'm always following the macro. I'm always going ahead and building on my theses, finding out where I'm wrong, finding out what's happening next, putting all the puzzle together. But at the end of the day, why I want to trade that has the fundamentals and the technicals behind it, I'm trading what's happening on the charts. Not the money supply though, the global liquidity. Again, go watch the latest uploaded video on the channel on the S&P 500. It is absolute, and the comments that you all included in that video are phenomenal. What a great place to go and learn a lot. Bart, a good place to start. A really good place to start. Foreign exchange. Your risk should be a 0.5% per trade. Okay, okay. Right. I don't trade. Also, not only lunch hours on the S&P, also Asia. I do not trade at all the Asian session on foreign exchange. I did for years. When I say years, for over a decade, I did. I thought that the more I trade, the more opportunity I have. And then data is data. And when I realized by simply avoiding that session, that overall I was more profitable. I never took a trade on the Asian session again, outside of a central bank acting. This is actually one of my favorite parts of the week. It's the Friday. There's less people in here. We kind of because we're not looking actively at the markets as we normally are during the week. Uh, some interesting conversation develops. I really enjoy this. I'm looking here at the S&P now. So far, making its first, uh, holding that local support first. Hasn't broken through yet. Again, a nice trade that could develop would be during lunchtime, us coming back in now, testing the support and holding it. And if that rolled over, that might offer an opportunity going into the close. Of course, the other probability is that we continue to go straight down. Those both things are, I would say, are probable. Is it possible that we trade up back above this trend line? Should be resistance right now, and then all the way back above this 38.38. If that happens, you know you're wrong, right? It's a fantastic place right now to have a stop loss in. Yeah, Mo, going back toward, I mean, so talking about Bitcoin and the correlation between the U.S. equity markets that we brought up. That I don't know if it was in February or whatnot. So it was right around here. I'm sorry. Let me come down to a bigger time frame with you. Let me come down to the 8 hour time frame with you. So, and it was not just Bitcoin in the equity markets. Everything was correlated right here. It was in this area over here. I started telling everyone that soon you're going to see up priced days when Bitcoin is trading up and U.S. equity markets are trading down, right? That we were going to start to see that correlation break. We then saw one, and then maybe a week later, another one, and then 2 days, and then they broke big time over here, and that's going to continue. That Bitcoin is not correlated to anything. It's not correlated to the equity markets. It trades. It's an uncorrelated asset that trades within its own 4 year cycle. And to illustrate that, fast forward 2 years from now, as Bitcoin is getting ready to enter into its bear market phase, right? Maybe the equity markets are trading at all time highs and they will continue to. And then you're going to see Bitcoin come off 80, 85%. They're uncorrelated assets. Yeah, I think that if I think I have a lot of thoughts about Ethereum. I think that in this next alt cycle, there's a good chance that Ethereum is able to even maybe outperform Bitcoin. Um, but at the end of the day, I don't think Ethereum ever going to be actually a success. If you've I don't really follow it too much, but I do know that the two co-creators, they were at a conference and they said that when they created it, they basically knew they didn't know if they ever were going to able to make it scale. Um, we'll see. The future is not really certain, but again, whether you're talking even about XRP, which you know again I caution people against that, and simply because you have you have Ripple, the company, basically unloading all of its tokens on retail. You know, careful shorting it because it could rip both ways. But as far as its use case, which was supposed to be for settlement, other banks are now using their own, cryptocurrencies for settlement. You have the IMF talking about introducing the central bank digital currencies, already starting. Whereas in Sweden and Ecuador, in trial runs, that is for cross-border settlement. Where is the use case? I don't know. I think that cryptocurrencies, various tokens, all have, could have various solutions and needs. and we're going to continue to see many in the future. But none of them are competing against Bitcoin. Bitcoin is money. Bitcoin is competing versus gold, competing versus dollar. The whole reason that I'm a big fan of hard money, of precious metals, is the same reason I'm a fan of Bitcoin. Except Bitcoin has obviously other advantages in the fact that it's digital, in the fact that it's easily movable, easily dividable. Um, you know, so is there going to come a day when the market cap of Bitcoin overtakes gold? Yeah, I think that's on the horizon, right? And what is that price Bitcoin about, right? That price is Bitcoin right now, with the price of gold rising, probably somewhere around $425,000 per Bitcoin. Ready, steady. Good to see you. That's a good question, Brian Patrick. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Brian's asking, are we going to see equities come off now because of the civil unrest that we're seeing in the United States? And you know what? I mean, first of all, I haven't thought about that. It's a really good question. I'm really more focused on the bigger picture. And when I say that, I mean what's going on with, I think the greatest risk to equities is both US China relations, which I see going one way and not good. And then also, if there's any type of further resurgence in lockdowns, that would pose the greatest risk to the economy. So, both those things are the risks I see. Now, could civil unrest? I mean, to be honest, I can't imagine civil unrest actually continuing and getting out of hand further than it has already. If that does, could that pose a further risk? It's a really good question, Brian. I haven't thought about it until you brought it up. Yep. So Monero is actually a cryptocurrency that has a really good use case right now, and that is privacy, right? So there's actually, you're talking about a cryptocurrency that has a really, really useful, uh, a really useful use case, and big fan of Monero. Now, on the other hand, in the future, you will see privacy features to one extent or another added to Bitcoin. My question is the long-lasting effect of Monero. I don't know. I think during this next altcoin cycle, it's going to be quite attractive. Um, we'll see. Dave, so the macro analysis is really for my own benefit. It's feeding that hunger I have for the markets. I love it. Does it have an effect overall? Yeah. Anytime you could get into a macro trade, right? You set up the macro and then you look for the entry and you're able to manage your risk through the charts on the technicals. That's the best trade you can take, right? So, by the way, the dollar is now coming back up and challenging that really important level. We're going to find out whether or not it closes back inside this channel or not. That was the unknown that we're watching. Uh, we'll see. Um, so, back to that question. Anytime that you could get, the fundamentals going in the same direction as the technicals, that sets up for a really good trade. That's something I'm watching for on the euro US dollar, on the euro Japanese yen. I think that the euro's future is in serious jeopardy. I think that sometime soon that's really going to come back into the picture. Now, right now, right? If you look at the euro US dollar, right? If we break down below this support down over here, technically, that's setting up a huge move to the downside. We're going to test the yearly low, and then from there, I mean, long term, I think it's entirely possible that we're looking at 80 cents on the euro, right? So you got the fundamentals there. It's a question of getting into the trade using the technicals. So Lewis, this is a really good question. Is asking, do I worry about the possible connection between Bitcoin and money laundering, and why it's true? There's a certain amount of money that's laundered through Bitcoin. I mean, the thing is, it's all on the blockchain and it's all traceable and trackable. Bitcoin is not private whatsoever. You have to understand that. Actually, law enforcement loves the blockchain because then they have their hard evidence in front of them. But they have done studies on the amount of money laundered through Bitcoin, and it is a very, very, very small percent. Money laundering takes place in the banks. Using the U.S. dollar. That's how money is laundered, and you're talking about pretty big numbers. Jonathan, man, thank you for that. Thank you for that, man. Love that. Yep, canon. That's absolutely true, right? You have even a second layer like Lightning, uh, offers the possibility for privacy. Nice, Dave. Yeah, Mo, I'm with you on that, and I want to be involved in that. Right? Tim, man, thanks for being so supportive the last couple of days. You really helped me so much yesterday with your supportive comments. It was listen. The last thing I want to do to anyone is complain or any type of negativity whatsoever. I don't know what happened yesterday where everything that could possibly go wrong yesterday went wrong, and then accumulating at the end of the day after 13 hours of frustration, having 30 videos of our live sessions deleted. It was just terrible, right? But Tim, a couple of words from you, man, really made the difference. So I want to thank you for that. That's right, David. Deutsche Bank is the biggest money launderer in the world. Wells Fargo, all of them. So anyway, I do enjoy our Friday chats. I really like them. So, by the way, let's check in the dollar. We all know we're watching, and it looks like that it has the possibility. It's still a lot of trading before the close, and still Monday is very important because of the weekend. We're going to really be watching what happens on Monday with the dollar over here, but we are aware that we could get back into this channel over here, right? And then at that point, that won't be a confirmed breakout. Watching the S&P over here, it continues to be pressure. Listen, if it, for sure, yesterday afternoon I would have took a position on this. Uh, it is not in the cards, and that's a shame. But I tell you what, it's much better for your future success that you're able to see the market and it unfolds as you're looking to it unfold. That is really rewiring and reprogramming your brain. Trades that you didn't take sometimes are more important than trades you took. It's really easy to take a trade, you see it and it works out. That's fine. That's good. But trades that you missed and then analyzing them and looking at what happened, that is really where the work is done. That's what pays dividends going forward. This is a blessing. You all are a blessing. I am grateful for all of you. Listen, all the time when I hear about the difference, you guys read the comments too on the YouTube channel, I'm sure. When you see the people talking about the difference that is made in their trading, you don't understand what that does for me. I'm really grateful for it. Um, I went through all this on my own. 20 years I've been trading, 17 full time. I went through all of this on my own. I know how extraordinarily difficult it could be. There was nothing like this available for me. You know what? And it's like the more you give, the more we receive. Tim, you were an example of that yesterday. I appreciate that very much. Um, so everyone, have a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful weekend. So glad to be back with you. I'm gonna have this weekend for sure, because after the close today is gonna be pretty important. Our weekly forex forecast, and as well as one on the S&P. Back into things, back into our groove on Monday. Thanks for all the like buttons. I really appreciate that. We didn't have that many traders in here today, and the amount of likes compared to the amount of traders is extraordinarily high. Don't think it goes unnoticed. I am extraordinarily grateful for each and every one of you. That actually does not only that's not only for me, like a thank you to me for spending this time, but it also does even help support the channel. So I'm appreciative of that. Thanks, David. Thanks for everything that you and everyone else has added, because you guys all do. Let's check that out, Anaya. Anaya, did you read that link yesterday? Was that helpful at all? Is that something that should be shared further with the community on the retests and why they occur? No, my order is at 71.18 on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm looking for a lower low. That will also be the break of the trend line. Super helpful. I will find that then, and I will share that on Monday with everyone. Someone else asked for it this morning. Luciano, yum 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 yum. Thank you for those tacos. Beijing. God bless you, brother. Jackie, if you have any good thoughts, please add them in the comment on that video, because I will then get to read it as well as others. That's a good resource right there. Thanks, Philip. John, I'll definitely find that. That's easy enough to do. I just can get back into it, no problem. Australia, have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Yuka. Roman, absolutely. Lewis, thank you. Enjoyed it too. Mario, God bless you too. God bless you and your family. My stop loss is going to be above tight stop loss above the current bar that we're in right now, if the trade triggers. Yeah, glad to be back. Roman, got to eat those up. Thanks, Casey. I'm so happy to be able to share that with you. Again, it's all about the more you give, the more you receive. I fully believe that. The more in life that you give, the more you receive. True happiness comes from building up others. Think about it. I just go ahead and share some things that I've learned with all of you, and in return, you guys are grateful. That's awesome. Dave, thank you, Dave. Have a wonderful weekend. We're waiting to see what happens on Monday with the DXY to see whether or not we remain up in that channel or not, or if we've broken down below it. But you know what? On the obviously, I'm going to be talking about that and focused in that. It's the single most important thing we're really watching, and that's going to be on the weekend forex forecast and analysis video that will be released Sunday morning. So watch out for that. God is faithful. Amen. All right, everyone. I'll see you all on Monday. Peace and love.